Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is a Piracy Show. Now, yesterday we were talking about setting up a pirate base as a pirate organization, and I was talking about how there should be probably a more legitimate organization within the empire that fences your goods, and so on and so forth. But once again, we're dealing with things that are off into the future, some of the things that we haven't seen. But where I kind of draw these opinions from and these ideas from is when you look at the basic idea of smuggling in the game. In order for smuggling to exist, you must be able to purchase illegal goods in one place and then sell them in another market, i.e. a legalized market, and I'm doing air quotes when I say that. And so the basic existence of that profession presupposes that there is going to be this type of activity within the game, and we've heard about possibly smuggling compartments in the past, though unfortunately that never materialized for a little ship called the Buccaneer. But one point was brought up, and it was by Drew Innes, and I wanted to kind of talk about that for a second, so I'm just going to put the point up here on the screen and then we'll talk about it. So Drew Innes says, "This is hard to do since Chris said you cannot transfer funds between players a while back. Might be able to do it org to org." And that is something that could materialize as a way to kind of control the economy or to prevent the funneling of illegal funds from one place to another. However, if you add another step to that, then the idea of, say, limiting what players can transfer to one another in terms of like finances or whatnot is completely defeated. Now, what defeated it was actually one of Star Citizen's big selling points, one of the big features that they always talked about, and that was the physicalization of cargo. When the actual cargo that you carry, the objects that you employ, become a physical object that actually exists within the Star Citizen universe, you've surrendered almost all of the controls that you can possibly put on player exchanges between, say, criminal organizations and non-criminal. You limit your control so severely that it almost becomes redundant to have them in the first place. And to a certain degree, simply having that possibly amplifies an illegal trade industry even further. So let's say that we have two organizations. We have the Happy Kitty Space Friends and we have the Evil Pirates. So Evil Pirates turns to Happy Kitty Space Friends and says, "Hey, we've got some spare ship parts that we would like to trade to you." So the evil space pirates hand off a bunch of spare ship parts to the Happy Kitty Space Friends Trading Society, or whatever they're called. They hand it over to them. So Happy Kitty Space Friends then sells those spare ship parts for money in, whatever legal market they have access to. Now, of course, Happy Kitty Space Friends keeps a small portion of that money to cover their operating expenses, but then they spend the rest of their money on a crate of guns. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would they do this? What do Happy Kitties need AK-47s for? Well, they don't, but the evil pirates do. So the next time the Happy Kitty Space Friends run into the evil pirates, they give them the AK-47s, or whatever type of gun you want it to be. Now, of course, this isn't a one-way transaction because by now the pirates already have more spare ship parts. Now, the pirates have now basically closed the loop, if you understand what I'm saying. They now have put more goods into the hands of the Happy Kitty Space Friends, who are going to use them to purchase arms, which they're going to then move over to the pirates, and both sides are going to keep selling the proceeds from those transactions. And because these goods are physicalized, they are manifest in the Star Citizen universe, there's nothing to stop you from moving crate A over to ship B and moving crate C over to ship A. You see what I'm saying? There's nothing to stop you from moving goods in between once they become physicalized. If you're in a space station in another game and it says you have 1,500 units of iron on your ship, and you go sell my 1,500 units of iron, you can place a control on that. You can say, oh no, he doesn't have the right reputation, so I'm not going to buy his iron. But in this case, since the goods are manifest within the universe, you can trade them to people just simply by physically moving them into someone else's cargo hold, and then they can sell them so long as they have the reputation required to do so. And in a way, it almost becomes like a feedback loop, because there are going to be certain goods that can possibly be acquired by pirates, which will be much more highly prized in the legitimate parts of the universe, whereas there might be goods in the legal side of space which might be more highly prized in the pirate side of the universe. Therefore, with each transaction, it's possible that they would build up even more money than the original goods were actually worth. You just have to take the added step of moving the physical goods from one place to another. A reputation system in the game where it looks to try and preclude certain players from being able to purchase certain things until they achieve the needed reputation. In a world with physicalized goods, all that does is that amplifies the value of the goods, and it amplifies the value of that reputation, especially to the people who don't want to grind that reputation, or who are incapable of gaining reputation with that faction. They are now in a position where, because the goods are physicalized, because they are now real objects in the game universe, there's nothing to stop player A from buying something and then simply handing it to player B, unless we're going all the way to the point of having soul-bound weapons and armor and things like that, which kind of sounds a little more like World of Warcraft and not so much like Star Citizen, if you know what I mean. So in the end, when you're looking at what Drew Innes has said, that could very well be true. That could be something that happens in the universe where players are somehow limited in how they can exchange currency between one another. But there's no limitation on the exchange of goods. So when you're looking at a rule like that, it's important to say, okay, here's a constraint. How do I exploit it? How do I exploit it to make money? And that's one of the cornerstones of building a successful business. Is it's looking at, here are the haves, here are the have-nots, and how do I get these two to work together and make me some money? Anyways, that's the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.